Hi, it's Nancy. Welcome to Garden Stroll. Well, today I'm doing what I've been doing all summer, which is watering. Right now I'm letting the sprinkler run, and then I have to go, well, after changing it over most of the day, then I have to take the rest of the day to go around and hand water the pots and all around the edges that didn't get the sprinkler on them. So it's a huge, tremendous job, and just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, the heat was so intense. We actually got a break. We got a break in July. I can't believe that. Last year I was getting ready for the August heat, and I didn't think I could handle it then, and we got a break in August. So the heat is supposed to be back again, so I wish it would just stay away. It's just so hard on me anymore to survive that heat. But so far so good, and it is a blessing and a joy to be able to have a little cooler weather. Even just a few degrees makes a lot of difference. Isn't that a beautiful Gerber daisy? I did take opportunity to go ahead and clip off some of my coleus since the weather got just a few degrees cooler, and I'm trying to restart them in other places, which they may or may not make it, because even a few degrees cooler, it's still pretty warm. But right now it's pretty nice actually, so that's a good thing. The banana plant's filling out a little bit. And here's another Gerber daisy right here, this pretty pink one. It's just now opening up, so it's not quite full yet, but enough you can see what color it is. My dieting is still going slow and almost nil. It's almost not there, except that I have been eating less because I haven't been eating a meal for supper other than to drink something. Because I am a diabetic, I do have to have something. So I've been drinking either buttermilk, and I know you say, oh yuck, but I actually do like buttermilk. Or else tomato juice, I like that too. So those two, if I just have those when I get to feeling a little shaky or just feeling the need to eat something, I'll go ahead and have that of the evening. But for some reason I'm still just not losing. But I'm going to try to stop worrying about that for a while. I'm going to go ahead and not eat supper for a while longer. If I just still don't lose any, I'll probably stop that too, but I'm not ready to stop yet. I'm still hoping that someday it'll just kind of catch up with me and I'll be able to go ahead and start losing again. When I first did it, my first week, I lost 4 pounds, and I thought, what a wonderful start this is going to be. If I could just lose 1 pound, I would be happy. 1 pound a week. So, but that didn't happen. Look at this pretty crepe myrtle. I like that color. My poor little petunias are waning down. They really were in the heat, but since it's got a little bit cooler, they've tried to come back some, but not entirely. And of course the bee balm is going away too. And then the tall garden phlox is kind of taking center stage still. But I hadn't done a post in a few days, so I wanted to go ahead and get a little on for you so you wouldn't think I totally forgot. Some of these are little places where I tucked in a coleus or two that I clipped off. I think there's one right back here. Isn't this one pretty? But I did put a little start right down under there because there was a bare spot, and I just don't really like bare spots that much. Look at this beautiful double hibiscus bloom. Gonna have another one right there probably tomorrow or the next day. 2 more there, actually 3. There's another one back behind that one. You can see where this one's all wilted down. That's a new little one that I actually clipped off the top of this one, and I thought rather than having it growing tall and spindly, I like the idea of clipping it off and having it a little bit fuller, which that may or may not take. But actually, if it stays even this cool, which the degrees has been about 89, right in that, not too far from that one way or the other. So if it will do that, I think they will have a chance, even if they all wilt while it's building a root and then I have to clip all the wilted part off. I think the rest of them will go ahead, although that copper plant that I told you I was trying to root, it never did root. I finally gave up on it, but it was during that hottest part of the time and of this summer, and it just didn't, I guess it didn't have a chance between that and the grasshoppers. But it didn't root for me. But it's not really lost because I just tried some little clippings there. I kind of wish they would have taken off, but I still have my copper plants, my original copper plants, so that's good. It is hard to start them when the heat is just so aggressive, but I may be wrong, but I'm thinking this little one right here will pick up and go. You can see it's kind of all turned over there. Let me kind of turn it over so you can see that it is the same type of plant, same color of plant. That's the underside of this henna plant. And of course that's what a grasshopper has done to it. I'm going to take that little leaf off and give it a chance to build a new healthy leaf in its place. But what I was going to say is we'll try to watch this one together and see what it will do. But I'm thinking that it will look wilty and not very well until it builds its little root. And then I may have to clip some of the wilty ones off, but it will pick itself up if I'm right. And it will have a little root and then start building fresh, pretty leaves. And this pretty little coleus is called Peter's Wonder. This beautiful little pink begonia has just sat here and done nothing so far, but I'm still hoping because they can, when the weather gets cooler, it's just amazing how they can change and brighten up and fill out and look so pretty. So I'm still hoping that some of these will do that. Notice that my little asters are looking better after I went ahead and put the gravel and the sand in there, and I guess it was a snail. I think they don't like that sand. I read somewhere that they don't, and they don't like the coarse sand. So hopefully this is more of a little gravel, but I'm hoping that that did deter them, because it certainly looks a lot, the plant looks a lot more healthy. But so far things are still looking very good. They're filling out, probably already filling out for their grand finale. It's just, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that close to fall, but you can see little signs in the garden. You'll notice it first in the garden or amongst the plants. And this pretty little Bells of Ireland is going to seed. It's browning out on the bottoms, just the pretty green tips are left, and this will go to seed. And last year it put down seeds and came up volunteer from this little area, and I left it here except for a few that I moved, and some of them had done okay and others have just fizzled out in this heat. There's a pretty mandevilla bloom. There's another one over there on the other side. And right back here is where one of those Bells of Ireland just fizzled out for me. And I wish it would have done well, because there's a dark colored purple knot alternanthera that just really looks good with that. The two greens together look good together, but I'll need to probably put something. I may try one of those little coleus in this area here, a little clipping, and see what I can get going there again, because it certainly needs something. In this little pot, my pretty little coreopsis, the yellow with the little ring around it of this burgundy that made it just really come together, it's just kind of played out, which it may bloom again later on in the fall, but right now it's just kind of fizzled. But it's still pretty with just the burgundy and green. That little coreopsis just really set it off though. And this little coreopsis here, I think the one is called silk stockings or fishnet stockings, but this bright colored one is called chocolate covered cherry, and I had it in several places, and now I've only got it here and in one place in the back where it's looking kind of scraggly, which it doesn't look very big here, but it's doing well, so it could still come out to be a really beautiful little plant before summer's over, or before fall's over at least. That this little pot, and the one on the bottom is where I had them before also, and they're totally gone. As a matter of fact, this is where I tried another one of those little coleus clippings there, and then one right here. And is that the one I put in just yesterday? Surely not. I don't think it is. I think I put this one in. If that one's from yesterday, it's really doing well. I think I put that one in earlier. Yeah, because here's the one I put in yesterday, and it's all wilted over. It looks terrible. But if it makes a root, I'll just have to clip that old terrible looking stuff off, and it'll go on from there. Which it may or may not make a root there, though. We'll see. These little clippings are not from yesterday. They are from a time before that, but they have definitely already got their root down and are growing up healthy and pretty. I put two coleus on either side of this one little clippings too, and I don't know if they'll root in or not, but they need to, because this little pot is looking so scraggly, even though this little calabachoa is trying so hard, but it's all down here on the end, and this is real scraggly up there around the little angel in the pot. But hopefully this will all fill out and be gorgeous by fall, and this little one is still doing good. I think I showed you this blue plant, and I'm not sure what it's called right now, but it's very pretty too. I love these tiny little blue flowers on it. It's pretty much covered. They're tiny, but they're mighty. This pretty blue is in the garden. And I was going to show you that these Bells of Ireland, I also transplanted those, and they've really done well, even though they're going to seed right now, some of them, but you can still see the pretty tips and how they blend so pretty with that dark purple night alternanthera and that pretty bright light colored green shade of green. And this little petunia in this pot, I could not keep it watered enough. It was totally dying until our little bit cooler weather came, and then just by keeping it watered, it's just perked up, and it's looking pretty good. This is one of my favorite colors. I love the bright and light colors of this coleus. My Esperanza bush has not bloomed yet, but it may still also a little bit later, and have the pretty yellow trumpet blooms on it. And this is the one that I had cut back to get those little clippings off, and because it was just damaged terribly from a hail, but now you can see the blooms are looking so much better, although there's probably some grasshopper damage or insect damage, mostly grasshoppers there too. But all in all, I'm very pleased with how the garden looks, and it's still a joy to be out here, but mostly it's a joy to be out here because the weather has calmed down a little bit from that terrible heat we were having. I am pretty sure it's supposed to be beginning to come back next week. I dread it so much. It could really stay away for my part. I'm getting to where it's so hard to handle that heat. This poor little fuchsia plant, I took it inside because I was sure it was going to die in that heat, and so I tried to save it, and this is how I do houseplants. It's really no terrible surprise that it wasn't making it in there, so I brought it out today hoping that maybe if it could get some sunshine and air from outside it would do better. This pretty orange Cassandra is still in bloom. And I noticed that a few, just a very few, but the little blue blooms on the copa are trying to bloom in this, since it's gotten a little cooler. They're still having a hard time coming on out there though, but if it would just stay even like this instead of going those 5 or so degrees higher, maybe it's been even more, I'm sure, but I could just do without some of that. But I know we're lucky. I think the last time I talked to you, I was telling you about what I read about the weather conditions in Arizona and New Mexico. So I guess each of us have our own particular things we have to deal with and work with, which makes it, sometimes it can make it really hard. I love this little color of coleus also. And these that are over here, these color, have just grown so much and proliferated to the point that there's just, I don't even know how many are there, but they've all grown together and just look like one big mass. So I probably need to trim that up at some point. I'm just going to enjoy it the way it is right now. So I just turned the sprinkler off in the bag, so we may end up seeing a bunch of soggy stuff. And on this side over here, the sprinkler doesn't really get to this side. I have to come over and hand water it. But I'll get some of it for you because this is looking pretty good right now. Actually clip this little coleus back a little so you can see the celosia. And behind it, it'll soon be, well, actually it's already started its bloom, but I think it'll get quite a bit taller and bigger than that one. And there's still a pretty daylily back there in the background. This is just a metal. This is a little metal allium, like the Schiberti allium that come up in the spring and don't last very long, but are beautiful just like this. The ones I have are purple instead of blue, but they're both very pretty. Of course, I love this one because it's always in bloom. And that's more of the tall Laura phlox, and I have quite a bit of this, as I've told you and shown you before. I think the last time it was already blooming, the last time I did a post. So this has got some pretty yellow daylilies in with the pretty Laura tall phlox. And then this little pot is doing well. I actually had to trim some of it back too so I could see my little garden angel in there. So now we'll get into the soggy part, because all this big area I had like that sprinkler that's like on a tripod, and it gets a huge area, and then I just have to kind of go around all the edges, which still takes quite a bit of time, especially when you're doing it every single day. It gets tiring and old fast. You just want to be able to do something else. But actually, while the weather was a little bit better and I was just letting it sprinkle, I did some a little extra cooking. I made a banana pudding. I made a it used to be called a 5-cup salad with fruit in it, and I've got it to a 7-cup salad, which I like much better. And I just really enjoy that. Well, it's so refreshing with Cool Whip and sour cream and crushed pineapple, and I go ahead and put the juice in there. And then you've got marshmallows and toasted pecans, and it's just very refreshing and very good. And then I also made a Mexican cornbread casserole, which is very good. We really like it. So I got to do a few other things besides just totally stay out here and water. And I know it takes the same amount of time, but oh, and look at my crepe myrtle. It's all in bloom, so pretty. But it takes the same amount of time to do it in the heat as it does when it's not so hot. But the after effects of it, to try to get out from the feeling of being baked in an oven out here is just so miserable. So it's wonderful to not have to feel that. After you come in, you can kind of relax a little bit and recuperate from it. But I was having a terrible time recuperating. As a matter of fact, I wasn't really fully recuperating from it from one day to the next, and it was really getting to me. So I just can't stress enough how grateful I am for the cooler weather. The grasshoppers, of course, are having a heyday, but look, it's time for zinnias to bloom. I just love the zinnias. I wish I had planted more. I planted a few, but I didn't plant nearly enough. They didn't all come up, and I knew they wouldn't, but I kind of thought more of them would than what did. So, but there may still be some making a showing a little later too. We'll hope so. This Copper King would soon be blooming, this hibiscus, but so far it has not. But you can see all those blooms. My goodness, if all those should bloom, I can't imagine it even fitting on top of there, because one of them is as big as that whole little grouping of foliage there. I cut this little perilla back a little bit simply because the top of it was looking scraggly up higher than all the rest of it, so I kind of got it down where it's a little more even. There's some more zinnias in the back there, and the back of it, as well as dahlias, which they have not started actually blooming yet, but you can see that one of them is fixing to right there, and I'm pretty sure that will be one of the big dinner plate dahlias, which are so pretty. Although I was quite sure this one was the dinner plate dahlia too, this pretty yellow one right here, but I don't think that is a dinner plate dahlia. If it is, it's certainly stunted, but it's still pretty. And I see a pretty red clematis peeking out over there. My husband has been busy, as you can tell. He fixed our erosion where we had a little gully right down through here, and he's already got the seed for some grass seed to fill that up with grass, which we need to put just a little bit of soil over top of it and water that down, and hopefully we'll get that going again before too long. As I was coming down this fence row, I just noticed how pretty, look, this is just one little rose moss in with that spike, but just follow it on down. Look how pretty and filled out this is. That's wonderful. I didn't realize it wasn't anything like this really yesterday. It had potential, but that was all, and now the blooms are all there and looking so good. I hope it will just continue to do this for me. And then right behind it, that pretty yellow that I like so much, this yellow and white just really shines. So it still has a long way to fill out to look grand, but it still is encouraging. And look, even this little peachy colored one that's so pretty, if it would really fill out, how beautiful that would be. This one too has a long way to go to be a beauty, but it's pretty. It's filling out there on the edge of it. And my poor little peach trees, they just were so overloaded, and I didn't take any off of them, so they broken limbs have broken off, and they're so small. I guess I don't know how to do fruit. I guess I should have came out and stripped half of them off so they wouldn't have so much weight on them, and then the others, I'm told, can get bigger. I just have a hard time doing that, but I guess I better learn to be able to do that if I want to have any peaches at all other than little hard nubbits of them. So I was hoping this was dying out so I could plant my iris here, but I can tell that there's little green coming back up through there. Oh, there's a whole bunch right there too, so I will definitely have to spray this again because I do want to get rid of that so I can put iris in that. Look what I found. Those few little clusters of grapes that I have are getting ripe. And there's one of the culprits of the garden right now. I started to break that off, which I will do, but that grasshopper was right on them in the way. Which those grasshoppers are pretty much all over and on everything. It's a pretty little butterfly. I still have way too many celotias. I need to get some of these out before these all go to seed. But right now, isn't that pretty? And there's a pretty pink one, and I know I have some pale yellow around here somewhere too. There's another grasshopper. I can get him for you. Right there he is. I might need to spray for those things. I put out a few granules that sometimes cut them back pretty much without having to just really spray them. But and here's one of the yellow. And then they're just pretty much all around in this area, which I know I need to go ahead and get rid of them. Oh look, I just noticed this pretty gladiola. I didn't see that earlier, and it's been nipped by the water there a bit, you can tell, but isn't that pretty? And then there's the mandevilla bloom. And this little cluster of daylilies was really looking good yesterday. I got some pictures of it. This one, you can tell the water has kind of got it soggy and scorchy looking, but you can tell they were once very pretty. And this little plant is an ornamental onion, and it's in the allium family. It makes a pretty little plant. More of the celosia. There's some more of the yellow. When it comes to this part of the summer though, just hand watering is not nearly enough. More damage from the grasshoppers there. But when you use the sprinkler and let it stay on it for a while, it sure makes a difference in the growth and how they look, how everything responds. It just needs more water than a quick little once over from the hand can get it done. It needs that sprinkler. I hope I can show you this, and it's kind of far back, but this is the Lacrosmia, and that one's in orange. I think I'm going to go around. The sun is shining on that, and I would like... So yes, what I was going to say is I'd like to see if I can get it without the sun kind of bleeding the color out, so you can see this is the kind of the back side of it, but you can better tell the color there. And there's one of those signs of fall I was mentioning. The seed heads all opened up and flared out there. So I just went in to get a drink of water, and in time to hear the weather report say that one more day of temperatures in the 80s, and we're going to be back to the 90s. So that's not really encouraging, but at least we have maybe one more day. So basically right now the garden is about surviving the heat, both for the garden and for the gardener. It's just a hope that we'll survive the heat and that we'll have a few beautiful days in fall to enjoy it again, when you can truly enjoy it, because the enjoyment of the garden is truly at the mercy of the weather. There's some more of that pretty ornamental onion. I want to try to get this divided and have it in some more places. I just have it in those 2 places right now, and it really looks good to me. It's something that looks cool and refreshing for this horrible heat wave that we always have in the midsummer. And we may well have another month of hot weather. It may be in the 90s in this coming month, and it may be in the hundreds, because August is normally our hottest time of the year. So we'll just have to see, and we'll just have to get through it the best way we can. Hope you're enjoying your summer and staying cool. But there's still some surprises and some beauty unexpectedly showing up in the garden. So it's always nice to come out when you can see something like this in bloom. Be sure and click like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.